This is Michael Jackson's story. So why does it feel like someone else is deciding how it should be remembered? That question has been echoing across the internet ever since Michael, 2026, began taking shape. And strangely, the spotlight has shifted away from the actors, away from the Jackson family, and landed squarely on one man, director Antoine Fuqua. As the film moves closer to release, the debate is no longer about performance or casting, it's about control. Control over tone, control over memory, control over history. Antoine Fuqua is known for telling powerful, heroic stories. He understands legacy, symbolism, and cinematic authority. And that's exactly why fans are uneasy. Because when a director with that level of influence steps into a biopic this sensitive, every creative decision feels final. Every choice feels like a verdict. People aren't asking whether the film will be well made. They're asking whose version of Michael Jackson will survive. Online, a pattern has emerged. Viewers don't describe the project as a biopic anymore. They call it a carefully managed narrative. Rumors circulate that certain chapters of Michael's life receive emotional depth while others are treated from a distance. Some say the tone feels less like an examination and more like a controlled redemption arc. Whether these claims are accurate or exaggerated almost doesn't matter. The fear behind them is what drives the outrage. Because history, once filmed, becomes memory. What's interesting is that many expected the Jackson estate to be protective. That was never controversial. But what caught fans off guard is how much creative freedom appears to sit with Fuqua himself. When he speaks about the film, he uses words like humanity, empathy, and understanding. To supporters, that sounds responsible. To critics, it sounds like softening. And in a story this complicated, even compassion can feel like manipulation. But this is the impossible position Fuqua finds himself in. If he shows everything, he's accused of exploiting trauma. If he pulls back, he's accused of rewriting history. Michael Jackson's life wasn't just complex, it was emotionally explosive. There is no version of this story that leaves everyone satisfied. Still, fans hold the director accountable because directors decide what the camera lingers on and what it turns away from. And that's where the anger really lives. Michael Jackson isn't remembered passively, he's remembered emotionally. Every fan carries a different Michael. The genius, the humanitarian, the misunderstood artist, the controversy. So when one version is elevated, every other version feels erased. Fuqua isn't just directing a movie. In the eyes of the public, he's acting as a gatekeeper of memory. Supporters argue that a 2-hour film can never capture a lifetime. They say a biopic isn't a trial and it isn't a documentary, it's an interpretation. They believe Fuqua is doing what few would dare, trying to center Michael as a human being rather than a headline. And they insist that restraint isn't dishonesty, it's respect. But beneath all the noise, there's a deeper anxiety that refuses to fade. Once this movie releases, Michael Jackson's story may stop being debated and start being accepted, especially for younger audiences who never lived through the chaos, the headlines, the contradictions. For them, this film could become the truth, and whoever shapes that truth today shapes how Michael is remembered tomorrow. That's why Antoine Fuqua is under fire. Not because people doubt his skill, not because they hate his vision, but because they understand the power he holds. This isn't just about cinema, it's about who gets to decide how legends are frozen in time. Antoine Fuqua didn't just take on a film, he took on history. And whether Michael, 2026, is praised for its restraint or criticized for its silence, the debate won't end when the credits roll. Because legacies don't belong to studios, they belong to memory.